So for to say, hello tankers and tankettes, and welcome to another viewer replay. And you might be wondering, what the hell kind of an opening was that? Well, this is Claus Kellerman, and Claus has his own channel. Yes, this is going to be one of those videos where I show off a replay and pimp somebody's channel out at the same time. And I think Claus won't mind me saying that while he might not be the best player in the world, he's still a reasonably good player. He is, I think, much more going for entertainment with what he does on his channel. And I do actually find what he does quite entertaining myself. So it might not be everybody's cup of tea, but I was pointed at his channel by somebody else and subscribed and have enjoyed his videos ever since. So, you know, go give him a go and you'll very rapidly, I think, grasp his style. And you'll very quickly know if you enjoy what he does or not. But like I say, he's not a bad player outside of that. Now this is a game, one of several he sent in, and I've gone with this one. More because of the ending and the result than anything else. Although it's still a reasonably good game. But I think it's fair to say it's not the most skillfully played game I've ever seen. There's a couple of moments where a bit more awareness or whatever could have been useful. But it's still a pretty good game in its result, and it's not the kind of result that you arrive at accidentally, shall we say. There was definitely some skill involved with this. He's in the Panther M10, which is the premium version of, well, not the fully upgraded Panther, it's more of a historical setup, as a lot of premium vehicles are. And it is sometimes referred to as the stupid, sexy war crime Panther, because there was an actual German scheme operation, I don't know what to call it, during the Battle of the Bulge, where they basically disguised a bunch of Panthers, I don't think it was that many, to look like American M10 tank destroyers. So basically they dressed it up in the uniform of the enemy, hence the nickname Stupid Sexy War Crime Panther. Now it's one of the machines that's had a coat of HD pixels, and I think it looks rather nice. But the gun is, I mean, for this kind of matchmaking, the gun is fine. But for bottom tier matchmaking, not so much. And that's why this is regarded as more one of the mediocre mediums. When it's top tier, it's okay, but you're going to struggle for firepower. Because this is the guns that the tier 6, the VK, whatever it is, gets. The one that kind of looks more like a proper Panther. You know, at tier 7, in a machine that can see tier 9s, it's not so good. It's not so good. And it does still fill that same support role as the regular Panther, so it's not like this is super speedy or anything like that. So it does struggle a bit more, but I think it's alright. It's just, it's a bit meh. Now, unfortunately, the very first hit he took from that Type 64 in the middle, which I think I spotted before Claus did, it took his ammo rack out, and he's had to use his repair kit already, and that's quite undesirable, shall we say, because, of course, this early in the battle, he's almost certainly going to take some damage at some point, which is going to necessitate needing a repair kit, and now he doesn't have one. He lost it really quite early, and it's just unfortunate that he lost it that early. But having not really noted the Type 64 was there, well, he went onto that kind of more ridgeline position, and I don't know, the Type 64 hadn't gone away, and he's taken more damage in the process, unfortunately. He has done some damage himself. I mean, 847 is not bad as a start, but he's going to have to pick up the pace a bit at this point, because his team's dying at a rate of knots. Now, the enemy team has not exactly been getting out of this unscathed either, but his team is definitely at a disadvantage, and I'm not entirely sure why he came over to this side from the forest side so early. Maybe he just thought there was more he could do over here. And to be fair, this machine, much like the regular Panther, is really very much a support tank. In fact, even more so than the regular Panther, because as I've said, it doesn't have the comedy L100, so there's a lot of stuff that you will struggle to pen more. And you'll probably find yourself reaching for the APCR a lot more. There we go, there's that troublesome Type 64 out of the way. Now at this point he's using his APCR, and I'm not quite sure why. This might have been an accidental key press, as can happen. He also managed to block that KV-85 as he was backing up, and I think it was just in his haste to get to this house, which is not artillery safe, but it is at least giving him some cover from the other side. And there goes his ammo rack again. Oh dear. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Now, that would appear to be both the T-34 and the Churchill that are shooting at him. And I think it was the T-34 that took out the ammo rack. And I think that T-34 has the 57mm gun as well, but I'm not 100% certain. The Churchill may have landed a shot as well. These days I'm using mods that basically don't tell me who's shooting what, which is probably a fairer experience. But, and that was definitely the Churchill 132. You can still make educated guesses based on the amount of damage being done, but sometimes it's it can be close enough that you just can't quite tell. So, against the Churchill 7, I mean, at these ranges, okay, the APCR is the right ammo choice to go for there. But he is running a little bit low on it now, and he's not changed back, and he doesn't really need to use it. So I think it was just an oversight. He also has had a little bit of artillery attention from the FV304, but not the big scary one, not the S51. And you're about to see why in a second. Yes, the S51 nails the OI, and in the chat, any moment now, he's going to go, finally. Yes, his exact words. That's why, though that was not an artillery safe position at all, Claus was only getting some FV shots sent his way, because the S51 was just intent on killing the big monster Japanese heavy tank instead. However, now that OI is down, yeah, Claus has got that additional worry as well. So we know the T-34 was over by the Churchill, and there was a Wolverine in the forest as well, so they might be coming up behind him. He's got to be wary of that. And there indeed is the Wolverine, although he's a one-shot. Now, Claus takes another hit in the process, and he's a bit low on health at the moment. And there's the S51. Now, Claus was not particularly moving around in that, so I think that's just RNG that made that shot miss, rather than Claus taking evasive action. But, yeah, he's... I mean, the T-34-85 is very low health, but the T-34-85 is actually also not playing badly at all. He's using this wrecked tank for cover. Claus kind of messes up his approach a bit, messes up the shot even more, so that's going to cost him health. And yeah, there's another hit. And of course, damaged ammo rack, so the T-34, well, he does get another hit, but fortunately that one bounces. Now this is Panther armor. Sometimes it will bounce stuff, especially lower tiers, but you're never going to want to rely on that. And as you can see, Klaus's health is already looking not very good. Now he's thinking of going back to help the M12, who is dancing around with the T-34, and I think the S-51 was trying to take out that M12 as well. But this is the moment that the Burt chooses to make a move, and well, you can see the Burt is not quite full health, but still, that's going to be at least 2 shots to kill that Burt. And he has to go up this high ground to do it. And while this has okay gun depression, he is basically going to have to expose himself to taking a hit. And there we go. The Burt takes a shot anyway, but he's never going to get up there in between the reloads in time. It's just not going to happen. The power to weight ratio on this isn't that good. The mobility isn't terrible on the Panther, but it's hard to say it's great either. It's okay. There's a lot about the Panther M10 which is just, you know, okay. So that's maybe why you don't see them around that often, because there are better choices of premium around, unless you're absolutely dead set on having an uber fantastic medium crew. Anyway, the Burt fires again. That gives Claus time to aim, so there we go, that's 1 less. And we've come down to 2 versus 1. One of them is very powerful artillery, and that was quite a close miss. But the T-34, well, he's still a threat. That gun is more than enough to, it has more than enough pen to take on Klaus's armour, but if it is, as I suspect, the 57mm, well, it's going to take several hits. So although Claus isn't looking very healthy right now, the main threat is actually the rate of fire from the 57mm rather than the damage it can do. And it's... Well, it kind of depends on the T-34 driver at this point. Claus has decided to prioritise taking out the S-51, and that possibly was the best idea. I mean, it's a little bit risky. It leaves their cap exposed, and if I was that T-34, Well, if I wasn't trying to flank Claus, I would be trying to cap. But he seems to be doing neither. So maybe that tells us the T-34 is not a great player? Maybe a little early to tell. Anyway, Claus closes the distance and gets that ridiculous bounce. I mean, the S-51 missed as well, but again, that kind of shot, trying to derp something with an S-51 at that range is just quite a bit of RNG involved. The RT player was not lucky, and in fact spent quite a lot of time in the chat complaining about RT. In fact, even accused Claus of being a bot, which is definitely not the case. But that bounce, though, I mean, how much armor is that on the front plate, the superstructure area? I mean, it's not a lot. And I know this is a 75mm gun, and with not that much penetration, but more than enough. So, yeah, I don't know. That particular bounce is a bit silly. Still no sign of the T-34. So Claus decides to go sit in the cap. You know, either he's going to cap, either this guy's disconnected or chickened out or whatever, or he's going to draw the guy back. And it looks like the guy was coming back anyway, but really, really quite far behind the curve. Now, this was a destructible house. Claus fires back, which was a mistake because, well, he knocked down that cover, but of course, damaged ammo rack means double the reload. So, yeah, he could have maybe had a shot. And again, I think a further slight flub there because he moved when the house got knocked down. Now, the shell's never going to travel through that kind of house, that kind of destructible house. So he could have just sat perfectly still, aimed, and instead he moved, and he had a chance to put a shot in there, but unfortunately, yeah, I don't know, maybe he was just, you know, the adrenaline's going and your hand's slightly shaking. It's like, this is it, this is 1 versus 1, this is make or break. You're either going to do it and be a glorious hero, or you're going to fail and people will curse your name for all eternity, or at least, you know, the 30 seconds until they get into the next battle. Now, he does have an advantage in, well, armor, I guess, kind of. I mean, the T-34 hits him in the wrong places or doesn't aim very well, and he hasn't been aiming that well so far. He had a chance to hit Claus as he was getting to that house, and donks his shot completely into the ground. But otherwise, despite the fact there's a 2-tier difference here, this is one of those situations where the nature of the 2 tanks involved and the nature of the guns they're packing means that it's actually not that uneven at all. If it was 2 tiers the other way, if it was a Panther M10 versus a tier 9 tank, that would be a whole different story. Unless it was a really fragile tier 9, I don't know. But anyway, Claus gets bored of waiting and decides to go forward, because the T-34 is... I don't know, it's very, very passive play, and Claus gets a hit in, but takes a hit in return. And actually, maybe that's not the the 57mm on the T-34. I don't actually know. Unless it could have been with a high roll. I don't know, 112, 108. Does that gun roll that high? I'm not sure. But either way, Claus does not have the reload on the advantage here, and he's just lost another bit of health. And, well, he got a shot in himself, but it's come down to this, 27 health versus, what is that, 50? So they are both a one-shot for each other. And who's going to blink first? Well, as it turns out, the T-34. So, I mean, that was a tense ending. And there was definitely an element of, you know, who gets the better RNG rolls there. I mean, the other guy had really high rolls. Maybe Claus would have been killed by those 2 shots. But as it was, he just squeaked out a narrow victory. And off that tense ending, he got 3 medals and Leet. He got Leet XP. Yes, he did. 7 kills, 2,800 damage. I mean, that's pretty respectable anyway. And... It was kind of a funny game because I can't say that it's the most skilled medium tank game I've ever played, but the results were good, and at the end there, I mean, he kept his nerve when it mattered, and the other guy blinked first, and I think that was just, it wasn't so much the mismatch in tiers and the mismatch in tanks, I think it was a mismatch in player skill level, and it was enough that Claus was able to walk away the victor, despite having, for a big chunk of that match, been ammo racked. It's quite lucky he didn't take any other damage to like his engine or anything like that else either. So yeah, so that was a good match, I think, in the end. And I think if you're interested in having a full taste of Claus's style, I can't really do it justice. I think you just have to go and watch a video or two and decide for yourself if you like what he does. So if you've enjoyed this replay, you can hit the like button, you can leave any comments below, you can subscribe to my channel, and as always, stay tuned for more.